I mean, my other one got kicked out, so hopefully
You
I'm just sending out, I'm hoping one to a new. I'm gonna see if I can fix this.
so did you just do like it won't restart that meeting? I mean, I'll let you solve it. I don't need to be.
No, it's all good.
Yeah. No, it's super weird.
Hello.
Hey again. I'm so sorry about your troubles. That's
It's
like
so fine.
stuff of nightmares.
It was gonna happen today.
We are fine. Whatever you need us to do, we're
Yeah,
cool.
so that link
you do what you need to do, okay?
So that worked for you.
Yeah, but I had to go through the client. I had to copy and paste your meeting ID into the Zoom client for it to work. When I click the link,
Well,
it says invalid.
that's no good. That's no
Yeah.
good. Let's see.
But that's how I got it to work. He's going through the client.
Let me see if I can make a different choice. All right, it looks like some people are coming back, so I can at least make you a co-host and get that sorted. Go ahead and plan on taking up until the 2:30 because you've lost time. So, like I said, the next thing starts at 2:30.
Okay, so we'll just gain that 15 minutes. Yeah. Cool.
So if that is okay with you, I'm so sorry.
That's okay. That's okay. No worries.
I'm also maybe gonna make you a host just because
Yeah, that'd be fine.
I think what
Yeah.
had happened is it still thought I was a host, and so it just clicked everything.
Yeah.
So,
Great.
but I'll send another email with the link one more time, just out of paranoia. So, let's see. Very exciting.
Okay. Yep. I'm just going to start admitting people. And then
Okay.
once more people are in, then we'll get started again. It's no problem.
Perfect. Hate that.
Hey, Reagan, we had a little technical glitch, but we'll get it taken care of and get on board. So hang tight with us. We'll get started in a few minutes.
Sounds good. I just put in that link that you sent, because it took us to your internal login page. I just put the J in between your Zoom and the meeting ID, and it worked. So I don't know if that's helpful.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, everybody. I learned something new, that the internet will just kick you off. So that's but I think everyone's here. I've told everyone that they can take until the full 2:30. So you should still have all the original time that you needed. And once again, my apologies. But I'm here if anything's needed.
Hey, everybody. And we're back. So thanks for your patience with a little technical glitch there. We'll give everybody just another couple of minutes to find the new link, get into the new Zoom room, and then we'll get started momentarily. I was enjoying checking out what y'all were putting in chat. So feel free to go ahead and introduce yourselves again in chat if you would like to, and say hey. That way we can kind of remind ourselves who's in the room and all that good stuff. And then we'll get started momentarily. Hey, everybody, welcome. We will probably go ahead and get started. We might have a few more people popping in as they kind of figure out the new Zoom link and all that kind of stuff. So these are just some growing pains. It's super exciting that we have a new group, ACTAL, forming. I definitely think it's something that's needed. I come from the K through 12 sort of background, and now I'm in higher ed. And when I started out in K-12 doing things like maker spaces and integrating technology and that sort of thing, there wasn't any kind of group necessarily. So we started some locally and things like that. So I'm excited to see this developing in higher ed. We have some pockets of sort of, those types of collaborations here and there. Like, for example, we're an Adobe Creative Campus. And so we have some other Adobe Creative Campuses we already communicate with, but it's kind of mostly in that area as opposed to, hey, we have a makerspace, or hey, we have, data visualization wall, or, all these kinds of more niche areas, where you might be the only person, or there might be two of you or something like that. And it's great to get other ideas from other people and things like that. Yeah. So welcome, guys. Feel free to chat. Use chat, or if you have a question or a comment and you'd like to unmute and talk to us, that would be great. My name is Dr. Chelsea Hooper. I'm an instructional technology specialist here at Auburn in the library in what we call the Innovation and Research Commons, which houses a makerspace as well as an audio studio, an Adobe Creative Space, a data space, all kinds of fun stuff for students to learn. And we're pretty young, maybe just 2 years old in that area, being renovated and so on. And also have my colleague Jonah Lasley with me here today. Jonah, maybe if you'd like to introduce yourself.
Hi, I am also an instructional technology specialist in Auburn University, and I have been here about 1.5 years. There might be an echo on my audio, so I apologize for that.
Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah, thank you so much. So Jonah's especially going to watch the chat, and he might chime in with some questions, and that sort of thing, to kind of get our discussion going, or take some polls and stuff like that. So thank you all so much for being here. If you'd like a link to our presentation today, it's here, available on the presentation page. And maybe Jonah, if you want to copy and paste that and stick that in chat. That way you guys have a little bit of a resource available there if you want to refer back to it. But we're really here not to present to you, but just to kind of start some conversations and things like that. And so I'm going to this is a presentation that has a lot of stuff on it, but today we're going to be focusing on students. So we're going to be focusing on student employees and all that good stuff. So we're going to kind of go down to that section, and then I'll kind of present a little bit about what we have in our area. And then hopefully, you guys can maybe chime in with some of the questions you may have and things like that and everything. Yeah. And Jonah, whatever you think is easiest, if it's easiest to type the question in chat and have people do that, that's cool too. Whatever works, or if you want me to say the question and they respond. But if you have questions, Jonah's going to help me watch the chat and that sort of thing. And he may also come and chime in as well. He and I work together in the Adobe Creative Space and also the rest of the Innovation and Research Commons. So we have student employees in our main Innovation and Research Commons area, and they help with things like poster printing. They help direct people to the right staff member for certain things like 3D printing or VR. They help with admitting the correct student who has booked the audio studio online. So helping manage sort of those spaces. We have in general, INRC, Innovation and Research Commons help desk students, and that desk is manned until about 10 p.m. at night. And so we have 20 or so that work there. But Jonah and I manage the Adobe Creative Space, which has its own set of student employees. So that's the main ones we're going to be talking about today. But we have an Adobe help desk that we started. We're an Adobe Creative Campus. Have been that for 4 years now. And so 3.5 years or 3 years into it, we wanted to develop a new position for students to be able to help other students with Adobe Creative Cloud. So we did a little bit of that really just 2 years into it with COVID, because being able to have some students help online, we took some of those original Innovation and Research Commons help desk students who needed jobs and got them plugged in with Adobe Help Desk Online only first. So I started doing that, and then we developed an official new student employee job description that I wrote up, submitted to HR, got approved, and all of that. The libraries funds that position, so they're technically a library student employee. And we started that in January 2021. So we were still a little bit into COVID. So they started working out online only first. And then when we went back to mostly in person that February, then they started working in a hybrid environment. And we've continued that to this day. So we have 10 Adobe student consultants whose job it is to answer questions of people who are coming, whether that's students, faculty, or staff, mostly focused on other students. And they can come with their project questions, or just say, I want to learn a little bit more about Photoshop. Can you help me one-on-one with some specific things that I want to do and things like that? So we started out with really just 3 and then grew it to where we have 10 now, and we mostly staff that desk between 8 a.m. and 10 p.m. And the students apply for it just like any other library position. We advertise it as, hey, it's great if you do have some skills in Adobe Creative Cloud, but it's not absolutely required. Like, we will help you gain some skills if you just have an interest in helping people and an interest in learning. Those are the 2 qualifications in order to work there. It's really a customer service oriented, just as like I imagine many of yours are. And so they help people with the computing in that area and so on. But our goal was to increase access to assistance. So they manage a Zoom room at the same time as an in-person, but we usually double up some of those consultants with shifts. So there might be 2 of them working at the same time, so they can take turns and help out. And they're from a diverse backgrounds, diverse majors, a variety of majors. You can kind of see the information there. And they provide in-person and Zoom assistance, one-on-one, also small groups, also pull them in to help with instructional sessions. We list their skills online on the website, and then people can see, oh, this student is versed in Premiere Pro and I have a Premiere Pro question. So they can kind of match their question to the schedule of that student helper. And then as far as working with our students, we do online training via Teams. We have sort of a set training that they have to go through initially when they're hired. And then we have ongoing training that they can choose on their own, or we'll help them develop it like an individualized professional development plan. Like, what app do you want to learn next? What do you want to work on next? And so on. But we try to give them a lot of choice. We use LibAnswers so we can review data, but the goal is to empower students to assist those peers and faculty and staff and build their skill set. And what's great is they're also already working in a hybrid environment. So that's another skill that they're doing. And they become student champions, and that sort of snowballs. And they also support workshops. You know, I'll bring them in to help me with certain sessions or workshops depending on their skills. And that kind of helps me sort of work individually with each of them as well. So those are really helpful things that we do in our area. So let's take some polling questions and see what you guys think. Some questions we might have for you would be, Jonah thought of this one this morning, actually, we should probably start with is, do your student employees come in with training, or do you have to give them basically all of the training that they need in order to do their job in your area? So that might be something, if you guys want to respond in chat to that question, that would be great. And then there's something in particular we'd like to discuss out loud, we can do that too. But maybe let's start with sort of a poll via chat. You know, do your students come in with any training at all, or do you have any skills at all, or do you have to give them all of those skills? I imagine some of those more niche areas, you've got to give them the skills, or you have to give them skills in how does your area run it, like the procedures and stuff like that. So yeah, so let's check out the chat here. Great, you provide training to get them started. We have to train most students once they've been hired. It also depends on how that job is classified. I know in our case, it's just open to any Auburn student to apply. And it's not a work study position. We do have some work study positions in the library, but not in our particular area. So sometimes that makes a difference, you know, in what they're coming with. So they come in with some skills, but you provide further skills once on board. Great. Excellent. And then to maybe follow up with that, those of you who provide training, what types of training do you provide? So do you provide in-person training, online training, or maybe a combination of in-person and online? So that would be maybe the second question. I'm gonna give you a minute to maybe respond in chat to that. So what type of training do you provide? In person, online, or a combination? That's interesting, Jane. Yeah, thank you for sharing that. So at Jane's area, they do a library-wide group orientation and then one-on-one in-person training. Yeah, I see some, I can see some good cases for that. So part of our training does include essentially some library-wide training. Like we have a library student employee handbook that we go over with them, and then they sign a piece of paper that says they've read it. And I give them time during the one-on-one training to read it. I'll say, sit here and read this. And then I say, okay, now that you've read it, sign this paper and give it back to me that says you've read it. And then I keep that for our HR person. Haven't needed to pull from that at any point, but I guess it's sort of a little bit of fail safe. Yeah, so that's one thing we do. But our library, we have sort of different areas of student employees that have different managers. So we have circulation, which has like about 50 students that they manage, and they have their own designated trainer and all of that. And then we have our INRC area, who has another staff person in our area who manages those main INRC help desk students. And then we have our area where I manage like the 10 Adobe students. So it kind of depends. Yeah, that's a good idea. And one-on-one training, if you have 50 students, that's hard, right? So sometimes it's like, I end up doing a lot of one-on-one, or I'll pair them together and say, can you both come at this time? So you don't have to do as much, right? All right, so Reagan's talking about doing group in-person training at the beginning of the semester. Yes, absolutely. That sounds good. And then mostly reading materials and in-the-moment training throughout the semester. That's good too. Yeah, because some things you can't recreate in training, right? Like, you know, you have to be in the moment and see what happens, you know. So, oh, when this happens, this is how we troubleshoot that, you know. That's very good. And then Dylan's talking about providing a hybrid of LMS-based and one-on-one person training. That's great. So we played around with doing LMS-based training. And if I had a bigger group of students, I probably would do that. What I did is just use Microsoft Teams so we can chat with each other and communicate. And then we have like an outline of job aids information, basically, that they can refer to. And then we have an outline of training that they go through. So kind of similar, but LMS-based is great. Also, I should say, our campus has an LMS training for all student employees that they all have to go through first. So part of our training is, did you do the campus-wide student worker training, which is in an LMS? And that's sort of a check mark that they have to do. So we do have a combination of that. So Amy's talking about, she asked them to complete existing trainings on their own. Yeah, that's good too. So existing trainings, either that you've created or that exist like on YouTube or whatever, and going over items with them on general functions and how your lab works, but specific skill sets vary by student. Yeah, that's absolutely true. That's absolutely true. Very good. And if y'all have questions for the group, like if somebody said something here in the chat that you're interested in, feel free to toss in another question in the chat and ask. You know, this is for us to just kind of communicate, chat, talk, all of that good stuff. So that's great. I would say, you know, this might help us kind of narrow this down a little bit. How many student employees do you have? So you can just type in sort of a brief, you know, estimate. So for example, in our Adobe Creative Space area, we have 10 student employees. And then in our Innovation and Research Commons, which is like the makerspace and all that, we have 20 who man the desk. And then we probably have another 10 or 15 who work in VR and makerspace specifically, who have greater skill sets in those areas. And they report to a makerspace staff person. And they are required to go through a lot more training for sure. 20, about 12 each semester for your department. Okay, great. Yeah. So about medium size. Very good. We were also wondering, maybe how much time do you spend training new student employees? So do you spend like an hour, 2 hours? Maybe you do an hour one-on-one with them, and then maybe they do like 2 or 3 hours of training that you give them to do, or through the LMS. That'd be great if you'd like to respond to that. How much time do you spend training? So for us, I would say it's about an hour in person, and then about 10 hours online, I would estimate. And that online training, we have them complete during the first parts of their shifts. So when they first start working, we say, okay, you know, you should concentrate on finishing up the online training during your shifts. So it's like paid training. Great. So Reagan's group training is 3 hours, 1.5 hours technical, 1.5 hours customer service. Very good. In the moment training varies. Excellent. An hour for the group orientation from Jane, and then about 30 minutes one-on-one, and then maybe about 15 minutes follow-up quiz. That's good too. Our circulation department uses quizzes a lot because there's a lot of stuff they have to know about what floors on what and all that good stuff. So that's good. And kudos to you for getting that done in 30 minutes. That's amazing. Yeah. So maybe Reagan, if you wouldn't mind maybe unmuting yourself, if you feel comfortable, maybe talking a little bit more about, I'm interested in your customer service training. Like how do you do that? How do you deploy that? How do you run that with them?
So for our customer service training, we do a little bit of lecture for that and talking about really the importance of it. And, you know, students are encountering peers, but they're also encountering faculty and staff. And so understanding that people are coming to experience technology in at different points in their lives. And for some people it's exciting, and for some people it is very frustrating, and they're kicking and screaming the whole way. And so really emphasizing why they matter at a help desk is important for us. And then we do a good bit of role play with our training to get them used to those kinds of situations, some tough questions, how to navigate something if a person is not being clear about what they want, how to ask clarifying questions, things like that.
That's great. So like for your role play you mentioned, that's really cool. Do you just kind of make that up as you go along? Do you improv yourself, you know, or do you have like cards with situations? You're like, okay, here's the situation. How would you respond to that?
We really full in go on the role playing. I come from a theater background, so I make them actually put their customer service voice on for it. Instead of saying, well, I would do this, we make them actually do it. But we tend to have a little bit of an outline, but improvise on the spot.
Mm-hmm. That's great. That's great. Awesome. And thank you for sharing. I really like that role play idea too, especially in a customer service, you know, heavy arena for sure. Like we have students who work in our OIT help desk too, which is a separate entity from us. But yeah, they have some serious training they go through with customer service, definitely. And Amy says she likes the quiz idea, not necessarily for right or wrong, but to help assess what they know and more importantly, what they don't know. Yeah, so maybe Jane, if you wouldn't mind, maybe if you're comfortable unmuting and maybe telling us a little bit more about your follow-up quiz and kind of how you run that. Like if they fail the whole thing, do you just talk to them about it, or do you say maybe this isn't the job for you, or kind of how does that work for you?
Well, actually, the follow-up quiz is very informal. We put it into the term quiz, kind of like we ask them questions, like in the one-on-one training, we give them a sheet to go through, like for maybe about 30-40 questions about like procedures or workflows. And then during the follow-up quiz, we kind of go through and we pick up what we think will be more important to keep in mind, or something maybe ignored by student workers. And we ask them not to confront them, not to embarrass them if they don't know, kind of just review on the knowledge-based wisdom together, get them on the same page, more of a learning experience than a terrifying text experience.
Right. So more of like a learning quiz rather than, oh, you have to know everything that I've just told you in the last 5 minutes. That's good. That's good. I like that a lot. And it gives you opportunity to follow up with them in certain topics, you know, or to go a little more deeper into an area. And if you notice they're a little bit more weaker in an area, you can kind of focus on that. So I like that idea. That's great. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, we have our circulation, I know, definitely uses a quiz, but it's a lot of times like somebody asks for this thing, like where would it be? And it's like multiple choice and stuff like that. So that's really cool. That's great. Let's see, other questions we might have. Maybe how do you feel about your student employee training currently? So do you feel pretty good about it or not so good? You want to make some improvements? or you feel great about it, or just okay, that sort of thing. Maybe say kind of what your status is right now with your employee training. And maybe type that in chat if you feel comfortable doing that. That would be great. To answer that question, like, how do you feel about your student employee training currently? For me, I would say I feel pretty good about it. I've been fortunate in that when I hire new students for the semester, now that we've built it up and we have 10, we have had so much little attrition that, we might be gaining 1 or 2 new students each semester just because somebody might be graduating and that sort of thing. So we've been really fortunate not to have turnover. That may not be true for other areas just because of what the nature of the job is and stuff like that. So, but so far they've tended, once they're onboarded with us, they want to stay. So we've been pretty fortunate with that. We had 1 leave to go to a better opportunity, which was like a no-brainer, and that's what we want for our students. So that was, and it was totally amicable and great, and we were happy for him. So we're happy to do that. But I feel like I would like to kind of move towards a little bit more of an LMS, but I'm not as motivated to put in the work for that right now because I basically am onboarding 1 or 2 students at a time. So it's just easier for me right now to not do that. But I eventually would like to work towards that because I think that would make it more consistent. But for now, we use Microsoft Teams. I can kind of maybe show you down here a little bit. And here's some examples. We use Teams channel. We have our own channel within the Innovation and Research Commons. And in here, we can have conversations with each other. I can post things that are coming up that might be pertinent to them, some new resources I may have posted, stuff like that. And then in files, they have their schedule is posted. Their schedule is also posted on our website online in a Google Calendar, so they can easily see that. And then also they, in that files area or anything else we need to give to them, like a copy of the library student handbook is there in case they need to refer to it. Anything I give them on paper is also digital in Teams, so they have everything there. And then they have an outline of their job training. So we do an outline of in-person training, and then we have an outline of online training that they go through at their own pace. And then they just let me know when they're finished. And then I have an area of ongoing training of things they can choose from to do. And that could include watching videos on Behance. It could be taking LinkedIn learning courses because our student employees get access to LinkedIn learning, not as students, but as student employees. So it's a benefit I try to push on them to use. Or they could watch YouTube videos, or they could watch Adobe Creative Cloud tutorials, or I custom, plan that with them, like, hey, what app do you want to learn next? Or, hey, Premiere Pro really well, how about you go for After Effects, and combine those. So it kind of makes sense, for whatever they want. But so I would say I feel pretty good about it, but I think it could be even better organized through like an LMS, which I did toy around with that idea at the beginning, but haven't picked that back up yet. But I found Teams really helpful so they can chat me. Our students like to be on their phones, they don't want to check email necessarily. If it's official from the university, I email it and post it into our channel. And then I encourage them just to communicate with me via Teams because they can chat and they can put it on their phone, and then it's like a text, to me. So that makes it easier. And that's been successful. So sometimes just trying to get them to communicate with you is part of it too. So let's see what everybody's got with their thoughts. And Jane's in the process of improving it. I feel like there's always improvement. And then you always have to update stuff depending on what's coming up. So yeah, there's always room for improvement, but if students are doing a good job in their customer service arena and they're showing up to work and that sort of thing, then it's pretty good. Figuring out maintenance phase. Okay, so right now you start out strong, but with our own, yeah, that can happen too. It's hard to keep on top of or incorporate mid-semester hires. That is pretty tough. I would say we've been pretty fortunate in that we pretty much hire at the beginning of the semester and then that's it. We don't have a need to do a mid-semester hire. So that's fortunate. But yeah, in a place with bigger, where you have more student employees, that's going to happen because they might, switch jobs, or they may say, oh, I thought I could handle my workload and my course load and do the work, and now I can't do as many hours. And so you have to adjust that. So yeah, that can definitely be hard. And then I don't know about you guys, but working with HR is always kind of challenging because it can just take time, right? If they've never had a job on campus before and they got to go appear in person with their I-9 form and all that kind of stuff, it just takes time. So we've had that struggle as well. So yeah, maintenance, that's an interesting question. That's come up with some of other groups on our campus as well. Like, how do you keep them sort of involved throughout the semester? They start to get busy with their coursework and stuff like that. So how do you, and I would say, if you can do it, this takes time from you sometimes, but management by walking around, like appearing and checking in on them at certain times. And oftentimes that doesn't take that much time. And it also depends on the nature of the job. So ours, my cubby's like right around the corner from our space. So I can just literally walk over there and see them. And I can also chat with them on Teams, or they can chat with me if I'm not there, because, I'm in and out just like they are sometimes. So yeah, that can be hard to do. And if other people have suggestions, feel free to chime in for Reagan's comment. Amy's always looking to improve it. Amy has a question. Let's look at Amy's question. How do you all create student schedules? So her lab staff students one at a time, and she's looking for a more streamlined approach for creating a single schedule based on students' availability, which varies by quarter. We currently ask students to submit their availability on a Google Calendar and then go and create the schedule. What do others use? That's a great question, Amy. And if y'all feel more comfortable unmuting and answering that, because it might be easier than typing all that stuff out, that's totally cool. For us, I would say what I do is kind of similar to this. I ask the students to tell me what their availability is after they get their school schedules. And then I sort of look at it on, sort of like it's a puzzle, right, to fit together who's available when. So once I have kind of most people's schedules, I start piecing that together. If you get your schedule in earlier, you might get better choice. And I piece it together. Fortunately for me, we don't necessarily have to cover the Adobe Help Desk every hour, every minute. I try to spread it out so they're mostly available, but then we post their schedule online. So as a customer, you're responsible for checking the schedule online and making sure somebody's actually scheduled to be there, because our area is a little more niche, and all of that. So, but some help desks, they have to cover all of the hours, right? So that's a bit more of a challenge. One group on our campus is using Bookings by Microsoft. And it enables students to go in and switch with each other, their own shifts, because that's another thing that comes up, right? A student's like, oh, I can't make my shift or whatever. And then you have to deal with it and find somebody. Some people just tell the students to find each other's, cover each other's shifts and stuff like that. But Bookings apparently will let you, will let the students move those shifts around electronically, like through Teams or something like that. So that's something I've heard. Google Calendar to schedule student hours. I use that too, as the public facing one. And then I also use, for myself, I use Excel first to sort of, because I can visualize it better that way, like which chunks are where, and I highlight blocks and stuff like that. And also Reagan uses Google Calendar. So yeah, so sorry we didn't really have a great answer for you, Amy, as far as what's the magic bullet. There really isn't one. But I did hear about Bookings and how that could be helpful if you're having people, if you ask students to cover each other's shifts, and then it empowers them to do that themselves, so they can move around their own blocks of time. So that's pretty cool. Google Calendar as well. It's never seemed worth investing. Yeah, that's true. That's true. And I think Bookings is part of Microsoft. So if you have it, then you can just integrate it as part of Teams. I think it might be an app you can add to Teams. So yeah, I would definitely be, you don't want to spend a ton of money on something and then have to relearn everything. So yeah, that's a good point. Yeah. And feel free, if you guys have other questions for the group that you want to ask, that is totally great. So pop in another question if you have another question for the group. But I do have some more discussion questions we can talk about. So one thing we were wondering is what kinds of training materials do you use? We talked about that a little bit, but kind of what's in your repertoire of training materials. So obviously yourself, probably, right? Talking to them one-on-one, but then what kind of job aids do you give them? You know, so somebody mentioned they use an LMS to walk them through something. That's great. That's a great example of a tool and a training material. Do you have videos that you create yourself for them because they're so specific, or do you send them to already created videos like on YouTube or something else? Do you, you know, just what, or do you have a website you walk them through, that kind of thing? You know, do you put it on your website and expect them to know everything on that page? Kind of what training materials do you use in general, right? So I would say for us, basically ourselves talking to them would be to start with, but I would say Teams is basically, we're using that as a training tool, essentially putting the items they need to learn in files. And then we also have job aids we stick in there. So like, for example, with Adobe Creative Cloud, it's usually about like, how do I get my license, or there's an error, you know, or something that is, you know, some sort of troubleshooting need. And that's not something they would necessarily, you know about, you know, our students necessarily wouldn't know about that. They know how to use Photoshop, or they know how to use Illustrator or something, but troubleshooting. But, you know, we have OIT, you can help with that, but we try to help with those low end troubleshooting things first, so they don't have to. So we have a job aid in there for Adobe ID troubleshooting help. And it has pre-made language that they can copy and paste into a Zoom chat or send to somebody an email or say out loud to them. You know, so it's already got in there like, well, step 1, have you requested your ID? Step 2, did you get the confirmation email? Step 3, did you download Creative Cloud app? Did you sign in using your actual Auburn ID, you know, and then, you know, prompt them to go through like you would, you know, a technical position, you know. So that's one example of something we use. Yeah, and Jane mentions we created a student training video that covers the customer service. It's very humorous and entertaining. It's fun to watch. Oh, that's awesome. Jane, if you wouldn't mind maybe unmuting and tell us a little bit more about the video. Like, how did you create it? Did you involve your current students in creating it? Is it kind of like the role play that Reagan mentioned, but like you videoed it, for example?
This video was created a few years ago. We have used it for about 7-8 years, and right now we are creating version 2. But in brief, our student workers, they put our they took our instructions, what need to be covered in the video, you need to be on time, and when you're at the service desk, what you should do, you can do your homework, but customer is always first, like just basic guidelines. And they took the what we asked them, and they created their own scenario, and it's kind of like exaggerated role play. Like say one scenario is about customer confidentiality, so you cannot tell anyone who has what, and so they just exaggerate it, and it's fun to watch.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's great. That's a great idea too. I like how you just also incorporated sort of some of your policies into that video instead of it being more dry, like, here, read this policy, you know, which is kind of what we do. I mean, I talked to them about it too, but I like that you incorporated that into a video. I think that's really cool. Yeah.
Yeah, and then some scenarios are kind of like from day-to-day operations. Like I heard you mentioned you support poster printing, and in our department, we support poster printing as well. And inevitably, sometimes you need to switch papers because like we support different paper types, and then sometimes people will find one is better than the other, and like there's some print glitches sometimes, and then they just kind of put all the problems in one scenario and then make fun out of it. And so every time it's already, we watch it over and over years, but every time we watch it, we can still
it's still relevant and funny.
Still enjoy it.
That's a good point. So maybe like things you want to put in a training video would kind of be things that would be pretty consistent, right? Like customer service type stuff. So you don't have to or at least break those up, like you have a general customer service video that could be applicable year after year after year. And then maybe if you need more technical ones, that might change, then those could be separate videos. That way you just recreate a 2 to 3 minute video instead of a 20-minute one. Yeah, that's a great idea. I love that. So Reagan's saying that she's a Google Suite campus, so you don't have Teams. Okay, that's okay. Yeah, I mean, you can do, Basecamp or something, or even, I wonder if you might use Google Classroom even, if you have that, or even just a shared folder. It's just whatever you guys have. That's a great thing to use. Yes, encouraging them to be very familiar with Google. We encourage YouTube. A couple of customer service videos that are generated by us that they have to watch, including a UDL at the help desk lecture. Oh, that's cool. Maybe Reagan, if you want to tell a little bit more about that, about the video about UDL at the help desk.
Yeah, so we talk about how if students, UDL is usually a classroom thing, but if students can't access their technology, they can't access their education. So it's really important for anybody who's at a help desk to be UDL conscious. So that includes meeting the customer where they are communication wise. If somebody prefers to call, or they prefer to be in person, or they prefer email, then we're going to meet them where they are. It includes using plain language, not overly explaining something that might confuse the situation. And then we're currently going through our website that the students are helping us go through, and making all of our help documents screen reader accessible. So it includes kind of training on using Grackle Docs, because we use Google.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. And it's really about just making the most of whatever tools you are having access to, so that's a great example of that. And yeah, those are great projects to give them. Another thing we incorporated with ours was, you guys may experience this too. You need to still have a presence like during breaks and during summer, but you get less traffic as far as your help desk goes. So how can you leverage your student workers to help you with things? And one thing we incorporated was having the student workers who chose to work over the summer, because it was really optional and we could just kind of work with them, and we have less staff during the summer, which works out fine, but they can also work more hours. So it evens out, because we might have one student who can work 30 hours. So the coverage is, is still fine, but their level of traffic is much less. So we created a system of projects that they could choose to work on. We actually just kind of assigned them. We told them what all the projects were, and then we kind of went through and said, okay, you have these skills, you would probably be best at this project. And then I actually ended up using Box for that, just putting a shared folder together and having an Excel sheet that said what the project was, who was assigned to it, what the goal date was, and any sort of further notes about it. Like if there was an update that we needed to both share about that project, then we could share that there. So it was like a shared document there. And then inside of that shared folder was also a project folder for each project. And then inside of that project folder was the instruction sheet for that project. And then that way the project folder was already created for them to dump their drafts into. And then they would let me know when a draft was ready, and I could review it, give them some feedback. It's great to use Box for that, because you can comment directly within Box and they'll see it and it notifies them and all of that. And it also does versioning. So I'll automatically tell you this is version 1, version 2, and all that kind of thing. And so we were able to iterate like that and get a lot of stuff done. So you mentioned making things accessible. That's a fantastic project for them to work on. And so ours would also help us with our department items that we needed to get done. So I had one of them design do a new design for all of our handouts that would also be PDFs. And because we have color coded for each of our areas, like Makerspace is orange, Adobe Space is red, that kind of thing. And then various other projects, they ended up helping like design a new desktop background for the entire Innovation and Research Commons. That was one task. And then somebody else designed an Adobe Help Desk digital signage that's now on all the digital signage across campus, advertising our services for the entire year. So, those are some great projects that you can leverage them to help you with things like that. And then the trade-off was you help us with these projects, you're getting paid to do it. And whatever you create, you can also put on your portfolio and make that as, a portfolio item that then you can showcase to future employers, grad schools, whatever, because we were just like your client, we commissioned you to do this work, and then they put it on their portfolio to explain. So that's really cool. All right, 10-minute heads up from the workshop help. Very good. Oh, thanks, Amy. It was great to have you. If you're still on, thank you so much. I know we get to go a little late because we're going to have another session in y'all might be in different time zones in about 13 minutes. So great. Thank you so much. That was great. Awesome. So along those same lines, we kind of mentioned this, but if there's other help documentation or job aids that you provide, that might be cool to share with the group. So we've talked about the Adobe Space kind of job aids are kind of within this files area. And then also we are also their job aid. So in some cases, maybe somebody will come to the help desk and it's a little bit high level for them. Then they know they have support from us. So they'll contact me first usually, and then I might ask Jonah to work on it because maybe it's a better fit for his skills. If it's a faculty member, they're trained to just send it right away to us, because then we need to follow up with them and do an instructional consultation with them. We don't expect our students to do that part, but they know to refer them to us. So I would say that. Some people put help desk documentation right on the help desk itself, or put laminated instructions. So maybe if you do something like that, feel free to share that with the group. That can be helpful for, I think it was Jane who said in her video, it says what you should do when you arrive at work, kind of what are your first steps to get started. So having some reminders like that is super helpful. We have another document in our files area that is called Quick Links to Start Your Shift. And it basically is 7 items. And it's number 1, clock in. Number 2, log into the computer, log into Teams and check it. We also use a library documentation system called Lib Answers. You guys might be using something similar, or some sort of system where you are logging the interactions that you're getting from your patrons. That would be another thing that'd be great for you to share in the chat if you do that. It could be through a Qualtrics form or a Google form or whatever. But if you can have some way that you're logging those interactions that your students are doing, then you've got that data. And so through that data, we were able to see, okay, what times of day are people asking for help? What kinds of help are they asking for? How many questions have our students answered in the past month? All of that kind of stuff. So yeah, you can use a notepad. You can totally be analog. That's cool too. Yeah, it can totally be that. And then you can check the sheets, just like, checking the flight log on a plane. Sure. I mean, that's cool. But if you haven't thought about that, it's not too bad to fill out, to create your own form. And this could be in Google Forms, or it could be Microsoft Forms. We have Qualtrics we can access too, but our libraries uses, and your library might do this too, because Lib Answers and Lib Apps in general is a super common library application that tons of libraries already have. And if your library is already paying for it and you can get access to it, then that can be super easy. I don't know if I have a screenshot of it. I don't think I do. Nope. But anyway, but Lib Answers is a patron documentation, and it'll turn it into graphs for you, and you can pull statistics at any time. You could say, tell me what was the last month like, tell me what was the last year like. We pulled numbers for our annual report, so we can say how many interactions we had and that sort of thing. And then we train the students in how to enter those. So we say, hey, type in, basically what was the question you were asked? And then type in basically, how did you respond to it? It doesn't have to be super detailed, just in general. Somebody wanted to know how to make a collage in Photoshop. I showed them how to use layers in Photoshop and put that together. And then they give it a rating. How difficult of a question was it? And LibAnswers provides that and descriptions and everything, but it's like 1 through 6. And so that would be a 3 or a 4 because it's pretty involved and you're teaching them some pretty specific skills in that area. A 1 would be like, the bathroom's down the hall, it's directional. A 2 would be like, this is how you print, you know? And then a 3 is like, I'm starting to teach you stuff. And 4 is like, I've taught you something difficult. And then 6 is like, I'm collaborating with another institution across, you know, the nation or something like that. So an information binder, that's great. That's great. And then that way everybody is getting the same information and it's right there physically, and they don't have to log into something, you know, if it's right there. Jonah's been working on a documentation for our audio studio, you know, so that we have some basic information there that not everybody would need to log in to look and try to find it online. It's just like right there, you know, so having it in close proximity and easy for your students to access, you know, is always the best. Yeah, that's great. Awesome, guys. And then let's see what else. Oh, here's a good one. So what kinds of ongoing training do you provide or recommend to your students or even require? So like if you require them to do ongoing training, you know, what does that look like? If you just suggest that they do, what does that look like? Do you, you know, provide it for them? Like say, hey, we're going to do a mid-semester check-in. Or if you have a big event coming up, you know, you're going to get a lot of questions for, maybe do you touch base with them beforehand, you know, or do you just give suggestions as to ways they could improve themselves and learn? So maybe think about that and feel free to type your answer in chat. I would say for us, types of ongoing training, we recommend it to them. We don't necessarily require it, but we highly encourage them that if they are not busy on the help desk at the moment, they do have a couple of options. Now, our university would tell you that our students are not allowed to do their coursework during a student employee job, which in general is a good rule, because if they're working a job where they have to pay attention all the time, that's not going to work, right? But for us, kind of under the table, I'm like, hey, listen, if you're working on your graphic design homework while you are at the help desk and you're not busy, like no one's there, you're just waiting, that's okay with me because you're improving your graphic design skills for which you need, you know, for which you're helping other people with in this job. So that's how we approach it. And then we also say, here is a list of recommended training that you can do at any time. And I usually also kind of prompt them when they're hired. I prompt them and say, what would you like to learn next? You know, you have these skills that we've listed on the website, but what would be next for you? And then kind of during that semester, I basically say to them, hey, you said you wanted to learn more about After Effects. Here's what I would recommend for you, an online course for you to go through. Do a project in it. Here's some creative challenges you could complete. So kind of customizing their professional development a little bit while still giving them choice. And I'm always like, hey, any of the apps you want to learn is only going to be helpful to you. And then I also encourage them to learn from each other. So if somebody says, hey, I want to learn more about Audition, then I'll say, hey, study up, you know, watch these courses or whatever. Try to make your own recording and then, you know, use some of those skills, like go through and create a sample recording and all of that. And then why don't you go ask Greg for some tips when you're done, because Greg is one of our consultants who knows Audition really well, you know, or message him and ask questions or get him to look at your file and see what you've, you know, give you some feedback. And they will share with each other all the time. So that's, you know, super nice thing, or they'll refer other people to other consultants. I always tell them that's okay to do too. Like, hey, you came to me and you asked about Premiere Pro. I can kind of help you some, but if you really want to learn more, come back when so-and-so or so-and-so is here and here's the schedule, you know, and kind of, you know, help them kind of get connected that way. And then we recommend Behance, you know, LinkedIn Learning. We've already mentioned several others, but there's a list and it's like, hey, you can choose to do any of these at any time and you're getting paid to do it. So it's encouraged. Yeah, great. So let's see what you guys got. Reagan says the college has an office of possibilities. That's cool. That works on human-centered design. We thought that would be helpful for our students for collaboration and for project management. So we allow them to take workshops there as paid training. That's awesome. That is a really cool idea. And Jen and I actually had sort of the opposite happen to us. We held a workshop at the beginning of the semester, and one of the students came over and stayed for like at least 2 or 3 of those Adobe Day sessions that we did. And her department paid her to come over and take our workshops because we were offering like 4 in a row back to back. And so she just spent like almost the whole day with us, and she was getting paid to do it. So I think that's brilliant. And you could do that with things that are happening on campus that are already free. So then you're not paying for that additionally. That's great to give them release time like that. That's super good idea. I love that. So paid time to take our department workshops. That's nice. Yeah, you can do your own internal ones too, for sure. Absolutely. And we tell our students, hey, watch at least some of our videos so you have an idea of what's in them and you can recommend them to people. And you also know what's in them to direct people to certain parts or whatever and stuff like that. Yeah. Yeah, and Jonah's tossing in the link. We are getting close to our time being over. So I really appreciate you guys hanging with us today. We're happy to take the last few minutes, see if anybody has any additional questions or comments. Feel free to just unmute.
Yeah. Well, and actually, Chelsea, I have to roll this room into the next session.
Okay,
so,
okay, no worries. So we can
that's
go ahead
okay.
and close it out. Yeah, but thank you, Oscar, for your help in getting us
Thank you
started.
so much
And
for
thank you,
everybody's
everybody,
flexibility.
for attending today. Yeah, and feel free to reach out if you guys have questions. Our contact info is on the link that Jonah put in the chat. All right. Thanks, guys. Enjoy the rest of the conference. Hopefully I'll see you in some other sessions. Bye.